There's some things you don't expect your son to say. Hey, Dad, can I wash your car? Hey, Dad, would you like to borrow my Hannah Montana CD? Hey, Dad, would you like to chaperone my date next Saturday night? Hey, Dad, I've got cancer. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. 34 days ago, my 24-year-old son Russell said that to me. Dad, I've got cancer. You know, I thought I would be prepared for something like that. Because almost every day we hear of stories of people who get cancer. Famous people like Olivia Newton-John with breast cancer, or my friend Tony with leukemia, or my customer's little girl, Emma, with a strange tumor. But this was my son, the little guy at 4 months old, on his very first Christmas, while opening his My Buddy doll, flinched because he thought his new friend was injured as he fell forward out of the box. The little guy with the buzz cut, who would run and shriek through the backyard on a hot summer day, naked, trying to catch his older brother with the garden hose. The young man who brought tears to my eyes as he strolled across the stage wearing his cap and gown at his high school graduation. Dad, the doctor says I've got to go right to emergency. He packed his little toiletry bag. I picked him up. We drove to the hospital. I could feel his fear. I could see it in his face. My cell phone rang. It was our doctor. Mr. Boaler, this is very serious. Her voice was quiet and low. The cancer is aggressive. I want him in the emergency immediately. They'll want to operate, so make sure he doesn't eat or drink anything. I sat at his bedside table that night until midnight. He couldn't eat or drink anything, starving. I left to drive home at 1 o'clock in the morning, not remembering how I got there. My sleep was interrupted the following morning by my cell phone. It was vibrating quietly at my bedside table. There was a message from Russell. Dear Dad, they gave me something to sleep at 1 o'clock, but they woke me at 2:30 to tell me that the cancer spread to my stomach. I flew out of bed reeling. I couldn't think. I couldn't focus. I couldn't get to him fast enough. I felt like that toy in that Christmas song that flies around the room banging into all the walls. I flew back to the hospital. The next 5 days were just like the first, fasting and waiting for the operation. In the course of those 5 days, Russell lost 20 pounds. I told him that I loved him, that I was there to do anything for him. He was never the type of fellow who would say, I love you, Dad, but I know that he did. Through all of this, I've learned 3 lessons. I've learned a lesson in faith, I've learned a lesson in thanksgiving, and I've learned a lesson in attitude. I've always considered myself to be a man of faith. Faith is defined as the firm belief in something for which there is no proof, or belief, trust, and loyalty to God. But any trial of life and death will challenge whatever faith you have. For some of us, it will augment our faith. For others, it will diminish it. Suddenly, things that were so important in my life completely lost their value. I appreciated Russell. I realized he was a gift for me, and that I needed to appreciate it. And a gift without any promise or guarantee of how long I would have him. I needed to enjoy him every day without grumbling or fear. My appreciation for him was now beyond belief. I remembered all those Christmases, those birthdays, those fishing trips he loved so much. Thankfulness. If you're going to get cancer, I think you should get a cancer that there's a cure for. The doctor said that we understand this cancer, it's a good cancer to get, we can win over this. I was thankful for that. The side effects of chemo were terrible. Mouth sores, clumps of hair falling out, vomiting so violently he lost his breath. The new anti-nausea medication pills cost $3,500 a week. The government's picking up all the chemo, drugs, and medication. I'm thankful for that. The doctor told me he wanted to give his chemo treatments right after the operation so that they could get it quickly, so it wouldn't metastasize in his organs. And I was thankful for that. And lastly, attitude. Ironically, only several months before this, I was in the same hospital visiting a friend of mine named Tony who had leukemia, bravely battling leukemia. I dressed up as a doctor in a white lab coat, put on some rubber gloves, and had a chalkboard in my hand, and I went into Tony's room and I said, "I'm your doctor, I'm here for your prostate examination." And after the laughter died down, I sat in front of his bed, I looked him square in the eye, and I said, "I'm proud to know someone who's successfully beating cancer." In conclusion, isn't attitude what makes a difference in life? A positive attitude is like lighting a candle, and it's better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. We have a long way to go, more chemo, maybe an operation. He wanted to lose weight, but I said this is not the right way to do it. There are some things you don't expect your son to say. Last week, it was, "I love you, Dad."